this is Mary Humphrey of Mary Humphrey Coaching. Today we're talking about codependency, and this is just an outline. It's not an all-conclusive discussion about codependency. We're talking about codependent individuals today, and not so much the codependent relationship, even though we are going to talk about that as well. So if you look up the definition of codependency, it reads like this, and this is definition from the Oxford Languages: excessive emotional or psychological reliance on a partner, typically one who requires support on account of an illness or addiction. And that illness or that addiction is narcissism. And oftentimes the codependency, it creates problems within relationship. It affects the person, the codependent's ability to actually have a healthy relationship. And the relationships from the outside can also look good to others that are looking in. If you are a codependent, you may feel as though you need to keep others happy. And this comes at a price, a risk, and most often a sacrifice to you. If you're a codependent, you may lack healthy boundaries. You fail to realize that you are not responsible for the happiness of others in life. If you're a codependent, you may have poor self-esteem. This may lead you to feel as though your sole purpose is to please others in life, that your self-esteem dips if you do not have the ability to help others. You know, sometimes you're rejected, sometimes you just can't do anything. But if you don't do anything, then your self-esteem depends upon that if you are a codependent. And if you're a codependent with the need to please others and the need to caretake, this exacerbates oftentimes in a narcissistic relationship. Caretaking is another sign of codependency. We all know a caretaker that has to be the first on the scene to take care of others, with the ultimate desire to have all of the answers, perhaps to help the other person, or to always be there doing something for the other person. And it becomes an almost an innate need of theirs to either help or caretake, or the codependency lacks a sense of feeling good about themselves if they're not caretaking. But a caretaker, in reference to a codependent, may feel a sense of guilt. They may lay awake at night and think, I could have done more, or what more could I have done to caretake? It goes beyond the normal caretaking, where if someone is in need, you go out, you help them. It goes way beyond that. I'll give you a good example. Do you have someone in your life that you feel you cannot share your challenges with? If you share your challenges or you share your struggles with this person, they go way out of the normal realm of things. They tell you, well, maybe you should perhaps try this, or maybe you should try that. And they end up doing things for you that you really don't want done. What you needed was a listening ear to begin with. And actually, this person even forgets, this codependent even forgets that you have a mind of your own. And, you know, they may Google search something all day long until they get remedies for your situation, and they start sharing it with you. And this codependency, to me, in my opinion, has gotten worse with the internet that we have today. Before the internet, the codependent, may have had less resources, but at their fingertips, it was more, instead of Googling or looking things up, their mind was, okay, gosh, I've got to do something. And this is at the expense of my own time and my own mental health, but I have to do something. And this becomes a full-time job for a codependent. Codependents also typically have emotionally unhealthy responses to things in life. They become hurt very easily by the responses of others. They typically feel rejection very easily. And oftentimes this occurs when someone doesn't really want their help. And that's what we were just talking about. What happens with the codependent, though, is the codependent loses touch with their own wants and their own needs. They're so focused on what's going on with others and how can I help this other person, or how can I lift them up, or how can I support them. And they forget their own wants and their own needs at this point. So they forget to take care of themselves. So what they do for others is at the detrimental of their own mental and sometimes physical well-being. So not only does a codependent feel this rejection and this sense of hurt, a codependent person also holds back their own feelings. They hold their own feelings back to preserve the relationship with whomever, that they don't want any disharmony within the relationship. So they back burner their own feelings, they're a back burner their own needs. Instead of sharing their own feelings and their own needs with other people, they hold that back. They hold that back to avoid rejection and conflict. As a codependent, you care more about the other person being happy. You feel as though you are helping to preserve their sense of well-being. This makes you happy in the moment. It makes you happy, but you're not realizing as it's happening that you're not taking care of you. You do so despite your own mental and emotional needs. You do so despite your own stresses. You do so despite the fact that you need some self-care. And you may need this care of others, but that's not important to you. You reject the care of others. You push it away. So let's talk about dependency. As humans, we all need each other. We all need to listen to each other. We also want others to tell us how they are doing. But at a level of, I'm listening and I can help you with some things, but the best thing that I can do today is listen and allow you to just express how you're doing. And of course, this is quite different than codependency. But as a codependent, their need to take care of us goes beyond that listening ear. They put their own needs behind it. They don't so much need that listening ear, or they don't recognize that they need it. But when they listen to others, it boosts their ego. It boosts their ability to maintain their own self-worth. And also, a codependent can have a fear of abandonment. And this goes way, way back and usually into a person's background. It may come from their childhood. It may come from just something in their past. And of course, this individual, if this leads them to not function in life or into extreme codependency, please seek professional help. So, this leads you to ask, what can I do? I feel like I may be a codependent. What can I do? Now, what I'm going to list out that you can do isn't all inclusive. Again, this is not therapy. These are just things that you can do. And I already mentioned you can seek that counseling and you can seek therapy in a support system. We all need a support system. When I mention support system, I mean we're talking to someone that actually listens and they don't judge you. They listen unconditionally. Maybe they're not out to fix you. They just listen because that's what you need. If you need help and it's not in need of professional help, then this is where your support system comes in. These are people that have your back. So take these things to your support system and say, hey, does this look like me? Does this sound like me? I'm not sure what to do. And your support system will be perfectly honest with you without judging. They'll be willing to help you and they'll have your back. You can also work on your mindset. Your mindset is an awareness of, these are my own needs. I have to take care of my own needs. This doesn't mean you always put yourself first, but this means your needs are up. They're up front. They're never, well, they're not buried all day long. They're not buried in all of your relationships. Sometimes they get backburnered, but your needs are not buried. You have to take care of your own needs at some points first, and more often than not. If you don't do it, who's going to do it? Develop a mindset of awareness. And what this looks like, you become aware of when you're caretaking, or when you're trying to fix something for somebody else, or you're trying to fix somebody else, or you're trying to take care of their needs, but you're putting your own needs on the back burner. And sometimes we have to do that in life, of course, because we aren't just, we know that we're not the most important being on the face of this earth, and there are things that we need to do for others. But we don't do that 99% of the day. We make sure that we take care of ourselves. If you don't take care of you, how can you take care of others? And that's one thing I dearly love, is how you take care of you so you can take care of others. But that doesn't mean you're responsible for the caretaking of others. Last but not least, set boundaries. What boundaries can you set today to ensure that you're not out seeking the pleasing of others? They may realize that, and I don't think that's her whole function, but they are boosting their own self-esteem when they've helped. They get that big, oh, I've done it. Oh, this feels so good. No, there's a difference between helping someone and your self-esteem just increasing, and you feel so much better about you because you've done this thing for the other person and you've supported them, and you've just went way beyond, and you've not taken care of yourself, and you've put your own needs in the background over and over again. You can consider journaling. This is a way to speak to yourself. Your words flow out on paper. There's no limits to what you're saying. It's very therapeutic, because you can actually, if you have questions or you have challenges, just through the sheer act of writing it all out and letting it flow from your mind, you're not worrying about someone else is saying what someone else is saying. You're just putting it all out there. You're dumping your mind onto paper. It becomes therapeutic. So as you honestly share with yourself, you can actually feel and sense and encounter milestones of healing. You actually can heal through this process. And I'm not saying don't get counseling, don't get therapy, but journaling is healing. And later, as you continue to journal, you recognize the milestones. Wow, I can see that I've come 10 steps away from. None of us want to be labeled as a codependent, but it's nothing to be ashamed of either. Sometimes life circumstances cause us to believe certain particular things, or to feel a certain way, or to become a caregiver, or to become a codependent. And we don't even realize when it's happening, or when it happened, or that it's happening today. So don't beat yourself up over this. Just have a mindset and awareness of where you are. And here's the thing, number one key in everything in life, even in these narcissistic relationships, if you're in one, I hope not. Always take the time to take care of you. Always. It doesn't mean that you're always first. It doesn't mean that you don't take care of your loved ones. It doesn't mean that you aren't a caregiver. Sometimes you're a caregiver full-time in life, whether you want to be or not. We end up in that position. But there's a difference between being a caregiver because you have to be maybe physically for a person, and being a caregiver because you go in that direction because you don't even realize that being a caregiver is fulfilling your own emotional needs, and you're putting what you think is your emotional needs, and it lifts yourself up and it builds your self-esteem. at the risk of not taking care of you and lowering your self-esteem as you go, because you're not getting back what you need to get truly in life, and that's to take care of you and to realize that you are worthy. You are worthy you are worthy even if you're not caregiving. You are worthy if you just sit back and relax and say, I'm important, I'm taking care of me. I am no longer going to ignore my own needs. I'm not going to put myself in the face of hurt. I'm not going to fear rejection. And if I have needs that I need to share with people, that needs that I can't take care of myself, I will openly share them with my support group, with those that I trust. I'm not going to withhold for fear. So I hope this has been helpful. And again, seek help from a therapist, a clinician, a professional, if you need help repairing codependency, especially if this has come from a situation from your childhood or an extremely abusive situation. Otherwise, get out there and talk to your support people. We're here to listen. Take care.